They hurt you, they lied, betrayed, or tried to break you. But here's the truth. The moment you seek revenge, they still own a piece of your mind. Want real power? Walk away. Because the greatest revenge is becoming untouchable. The true meaning of revenge. It's not retaliation, it's rising beyond which we often believe that revenge means getting even, a harsh comeback, a cold action, a blow that makes the other person regret. We imagine the triumph when they realize their mistake, when we get the chance to teach them a lesson, when justice belongs to us. But Stoic philosophy, the school of those who live with inner stability, reveals a very different truth. True revenge is not retaliation, but becoming untouchable. 1. Traditional revenge is an emotional trap. When we're betrayed, insulted, or hurt, our first instinct is to strike back. It's a survival response. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fight or flight, kicks into gear. We feel the rage rising, the trembling, the urge to get even immediately. But that's not strength. That's primal reaction. What we fail to see is this. Every second we spend plotting revenge is another second they still control us. We think we're reclaiming power, but we're actually giving it away to the very person who caused our pain. 2. Real power lies not in reaction, but in transcendence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is more than morality. It's a strategy. You don't need to win in a debate, a social media comment, or a tense confrontation. You just need to win over yourself to overcome the urge to strike back. The anger that silently consumes you, because only when you go quiet but unshaken, vanish yet still shine, do they finally understand what you no longer need to say. You've risen to a level where they can no longer reach. 3. Silence. The kind of revenge that hurts the most. In a world where everyone wants the last word, wants to be understood, wants to be seen, silence becomes the most unsettling force. It makes them wonder, why didn't they react? Why don't they need to speak up anymore? Why did they disappear, yet still make me feel so small? And in that silence you reclaim sovereignty over your own mind. You no longer live to respond. You live to become stronger, kinder, more grounded. This is revenge through stillness, not through retaliation. For revenge isn't about defeating them, it's about making them irrelevant when someone hurts you. What they really want is not just to see you suffer, but to pull you down to their level, to make you react, to make you scream, to make you weak. But when you choose a different life, when you walk away from the game they're trying to play, you turn them into something that no longer matters in your story. True revenge is not an act, it's a shift in identity. It's when you build a life of purpose, discipline, and dignity so solid that they no longer have access to you. They can talk about you, but you're no longer there. They can mention your name, but only in the past tense. 5. Real revenge is when you no longer feel the need for revenge. True revenge happens when you no longer care whether they see their mistakes, when you no longer wait for an apology, when you no longer need to be proven right, when you simply move forward in silence, in strength, in clarity. You're no longer living to teach them a lesson. You've become the lesson. Conclusion. True revenge isn't about punishment. It's about liberation, freeing yourself from emotional chains. It's about refusing to let someone occupy your mind for one more moment. When you stop replying, stop reacting, stop thinking about them, you've already won. Not with an outward display of force, but with unshakable inner strength. That's the Stoic way. No retaliation, just evolution. No reaction, just elevation. No revenge, because you've already become untouchable. Why traditional revenge is a dangerous trap for the mind in moments of deep hurt, betrayal, humiliation, insult. What erupts first is not reason, but emotion, anger, resentment, and above all, the desire for revenge. I'll make them regret it. I'll get them back double. That feeling burns like fire. It makes you think you're taking back control. But the truth is, traditional revenge is not power, it's an emotional trap, cleverly disguised. 1. The feeling of retaliation gives the illusion of control when we're wounded. Our first instinct is to retaliate, a sharp remark, a painful action, or a calculated plan to make them pay. And in that moment, when you strike back, you feel a fleeting sense of satisfaction. You think you've won. But ask yourself, what happens afterward? That control vanishes quickly. You've traded your inner peace just to play the game they created. You've stepped into the exact trap the one who hurt you set, to make you react, to pull you down to their level. 2. Revenge is an instinctive, the reaction, not a conscious choice according to neuroscience. When you're hurt, the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fight or flight, immediately takes over. Adrenaline floods your system. You feel ready for battle. But here's the problem. The amygdala doesn't strategize. It doesn't care about your values, your integrity, or your long-term goals. It just wants you to react now. And when you let raw emotion lead, you lose your most precious asset, emotional intelligence and self-control. 3. Revenge doesn't make you stronger. It makes you dependent. We often believe that striking back proves our worth, but in reality, if your emotions, behavior, and peace depend on someone else's actions, you're not in control. They are. You've handed the remote control of your emotions to the very person who caused your pain. You're reacting to them, instead of living by your own values. 4. Revenge drains your mental energy. Imagine holding a burning coal in your hand, waiting for the right moment to throw it at someone. The longer you hold it, the more it burns you. That's traditional revenge. You cling to anger, hoping to hurt someone else, but the one truly suffering is you. Ongoing rage corrodes the mind, distorts your vision, and pulls you off your true path. Instead of focusing on growth, you waste your energy chasing something that never truly heals the wound. 5. Revenge keeps you stuck in someone else's story. When you spend time plotting how to teach them a lesson, they still occupy space in your mind. You're still reacting, still tangled in their presence, even if they're long gone. That's not a victory. That's being trapped in a narrative they wrote for you, living in response instead of in purpose. 6. Revenge doesn't free you, it binds you tighter. Many believe that revenge will bring closure, but the opposite is true. Retaliation only deepens the wound. It turns you into the prison guard of your own pain, constantly guarding it, constantly haunted. True healing comes not from striking back, but from freeing your mind from resentment. It's not about winning the petty war, it's about ending the war altogether. 7. Emotional self-mastery is true strength, not revenge. Stoic philosophy teaches, real strength is not being pulled down by others' actions. As Marcus Aurelius, you said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. You can't control others, but you can control how you respond. When you choose not to retaliate, not to react, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've chosen a higher road, one of wisdom, discipline, and purpose. Conclusion: revenge is the ego's trap. Forgiveness is the soul's power. Traditional revenge is a trap disguised as empowerment. It seduces you into believing you're in control, while you're actually spinning in someone else's emotional storm. Instead of trying to strike back, step out of the cycle. Return to yourself, where silence, growth, and clarity begin. The best revenge is when you no longer need revenge because you're too busy building a life they can no longer reach. The Stoic philosophy of revenge: when silence is a weapon, and rising above is the ultimate victory. In a world where everyone is eager to fire back, desperate to have the last word and prove they're right, the Stoic philosophy offers a surprising perspective. The best revenge is not reaction, but powerful silence and inner evolution far beyond those who once hurt you. Stoicism, the philosophy of self-mastery, virtue, and tranquility, doesn't teach you how to win arguments or retaliate with sharper blows. It teaches you to become untouchable, and that is the highest form of revenge. 1. Don't become like the one who wronged you. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous quotes from emperor philosopher Marcus Aurelius, is the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. The message is clear: do not repay evil with evil. Don't let someone else's actions dictate your character. Let calm, integrity, and virtue guide your response. The difference between a spiritually mature person and a weak one lies in how they react to pain. 2. He who angers you controls you. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, he who angers you controls you. If someone can easily trigger your rage, they still have control over your mind. And if that's true, then every act of revenge is just an expression of loss of control, not strength. Self-mastery is what makes someone truly stoic, not clever retaliation. 3. Stoics don't waste time on revenge. They invest in lasting values. Through Stoics don't waste their lives plotting payback. Instead, they dedicate themselves to building a solid life rooted in inner values, resilience, and personal ethics. To them, those who caused harm are mere footnotes in the greater story they are writing. Silence, withdrawal, and inner focus are not acts of avoidance, they're strategies to stay out of emotional traps and preserve their peace. For revenge keeps you stuck in the old chapter. Stoics write a new one. When you seek revenge, you're still stuck in the same chapter, playing someone else's game. But Stoics choose differently. They write a new chapter, where they are no longer defined by old wounds or past people. They don't seek validation from those who hurt them. They don't need to be seen. They simply live by values and purpose. And in doing so, the one who caused the harm becomes irrelevant, even invisible. 5. Silence is a weapon, not surrender. Stoics are not silent because they're weak. They're silent because they've seen something more important: inner peace, progress, and the life they could build if they're not dragged down by anger or hatred. That silence carries weight. It forces others to question, to doubt, and more importantly, it proves that you've already risen beyond them. 6. No need for revenge. You're too busy evolving, as one line in the video perfectly puts it. You didn't rise to impress them. You rose because you refused to stay broken. That's the core of Stoicism: autonomy, self-governance, freedom. Revenge is an outward act, but Stoics act from within. They don't answer pain with fists, they answer it with growth, with a stronger version of themselves. 7. Forgiveness, but not forgetfulness. Stoicism doesn't demand you to forget the pain. It teaches you not to carry your wounds like badges of honor. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is not about compromising with the wrongdoer. It's about releasing the emotional shackles. It's stepping into the light without needing an apology or their regret. Conclusion: Revenge is instinct. Forgiveness and silence are the arts of the strong. The Stoic path doesn't teach you how to clap back. It teaches you how to become unshakable. True revenge in Stoicism is when you no longer need to prove anything. When your life speaks for itself. When you're no longer led by wounds but by purpose and dignity. And in that moment, not through words, but through stillness and your own inner light, you've already answered the world. Why silence is the ultimate power. We live in an age where everyone is trying to speak louder, respond faster, and retaliate harder. People believe that silence is weakness, surrender, or submission. But in Stoic philosophy, a way of life rooted in calmness, in silence is not retreat. It is the ultimate power of those who have mastered their emotions, their mind, and their life. 1. Silence is a sign of self-mastery in moments of insult, misunderstanding, or betrayal. The instinctive reaction is to argue, explain, lash out, or seek revenge. But when you choose silence, you're making a conscious decision not out of fear, but because you've risen above the primitive reaction. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Silence is the clearest sign that you are in control of yourself. 2. Silence is not avoidance, it's stratagem warfare. Great generals don't strike out of emotion. They wait, they observe, they know when to advance, when to retreat. Stoics are the same. They don't react to provocation because they understand that silence is a strategy, a way to preserve energy and stay focused on what truly matters. When you don't react, you refuse to play someone else's game. You hold the advantage with your calm presence. 3. Silence strips others of their power here. As an interesting truth, people who try to hurt you are hoping you'll react. They wait for your anger. They want your voice because it gives them control over your emotions. But when you choose silence, you shatter their entire game. They no longer know what you think. They can't trigger your emotions. They can't drag you into their mess. Your silence becomes a steel wall they cannot break through. 4. Silence is sometimes the loudest statement. There's a paradox. Sometimes silence echoes louder than words. When you walk away from a conflict without saying a word, you haven't lost, you've risen above it. When you no longer feel the need to prove anything, others are forced to reflect. You don't need to shout, "I'm fine." Your calmness says it all. You don't need to clap back to prove your right or silence. Your focus and your success will speak for you. 5. Silence protects your mental energy. Every time you get angry, defend yourself, or argue back, you're spending mental energy that could be used to build something meaningful, your health, your career, your inner peace. Stoics understand that silence is a shield that protects the mind from chaos. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every irritation deserves a place in your mind. 6. Silence creates a presence that can't be ignored. The less a person speaks, the more weight their words carry. The calmer someone is, the more powerful their presence becomes. Silence at the right moment can shift the entire atmosphere of a room. It sends a message: I control myself. I don't need to be loud to be seen. 7. Silence is a way to walk away from what no longer deserves you. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every betrayal deserves confrontation. And not every wound needs explanation. Silence is the act of walking away from relationships, situations, and emotions that no longer serve you. You don't leave because you're weak. You leave because you're strong enough not to stay. 8. Silence is the highest form of emotional maturity. When you choose silence over anger. When you choose to move on instead of getting even. When you choose to focus on your growth rather than react. You've reached a level of emotional maturity that few people ever do. It's not resistance, it's freedom. You no longer need to fight to look strong. You no longer need to prove anything. You just remain calm, move forward. Conclusion: silence is the language of those who rule themselves in Stoic philosophy. Silence is not the absence of a voice, but the expression of wisdom, strength, and dignity. The more you practice timely silence, the less you get dragged by negativity. The more you stay quiet in the face of nonsense, the more space you have to build something meaningful. So let silence become your default response to the low, the petty, and the pointless. You don't need to react. You don't need to explain. Just stay silent and keep rising. How to become untouchable, beyond reach, beyond reaction in life. Everyone has experienced pain, betrayal, humiliation, misunderstanding, or being underestimated. The usual response is anger, retaliation, and the need to prove oneself. But these are merely instinctive reactions, and the more you react, the more easily you're pulled down. In Stoic philosophy, the right path is not revenge or verbal battles. The right path is to become untouchable, unshaken, unmanipulated, and unbreakable. You no longer need to respond because you've already risen above. You no longer need to prove anything because you are the proof. So how do you reach that untouchable state so strong that no one can truly hurt you? 1. Master your emotions. Don't let others control you. Emotions are your biggest weakness. If you don't control them, others can make you angry with a single word, a glance, or a rumor. And the moment you lose your temper, react, or explode, you've handed them control. Epictetus once said, The person who angers you is the one who controls you. To become untouchable, the first step is to take back control of your emotions. When someone hurts you, don't react immediately. Be silent, observe, analyze, respond consciously, not impulsively. 2. Build discipline as your iron foundation. An unshakable person is a disciplined one. They have routines, systems, and clear principles for living. When the world around them is chaotic, they still rise early, train consistently, read daily, and work with deep focus. You can't be knocked over if your inner foundation has been forged by daily discipline. Strength doesn't come from luck, it comes from habits. 3. Leave the stage others set up for you. Every time you argue, retaliate, or try to teach them a lesson, you're stepping onto the stage someone else built. They want your reaction. They want you caught in the game. And when you play along, you're playing by their script. Becoming untouchable means walking off that stage. No need to clarify, no need to argue, no need for a final word. Just walk away silently and begin writing your own new chapter. For turn pain into power, the strong are not those who never get hurt. The strong are those who use pain as fuel for transformation. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? Ask, what will I do to rise from this? Let the pain drive you to train harder, work deeper, live with greater clarity and purpose. Don't use pain as an excuse for anger. Use it as the reason for your evolution. 5. Focus on building, not destroying. The weak seek revenge by trying to destroy those who hurt them. The strong respond by building a life so powerful that the other person no longer deserves a place in it. You don't need to show them. Your life, when lived well, with strength and value, will speak for itself. Focus on building your health, your habits, your career, your high-quality relationships, your mind solid as stone. 6. Master strategic silence. Silence isn't surrender. It's the purest form of Stoic power. When you don't react, don't explain, and don't chase victory, you send the clearest message. I'm no longer on that level. I've risen beyond it. The more silent you are, the stronger you become. The less you speak, the more weight your words carry. Silence is the roar of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. 7. Let go to move forward. Many think letting go is weakness, but in reality it requires immense inner strength. You can't become untouchable while still carrying old wounds, unworthy people, or heavy memories. Letting go isn't about forgiving them, it's about refusing to hurt yourself anymore. Conclusion: untouchable isn't numbness, it's supreme self-mastery. To become untouchable doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means having the power to remain untouched by petty drama, gossip, or attacks. It's a mindset you train for. It's when external chaos no longer stirs your internal peace. It's when your life is no longer driven by others but by you. And that, ultimately, is the most powerful revenge. To live a life so strong, so deep, so calm, that no one is worthy of even touching your peace. Transforming pain into power. We all carry wounds. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was being misunderstood, humiliated, or underestimated. Those scars don't just leave sadness behind, they often leave anger, a sense of injustice, and a desire for revenge. But Stoic philosophy teaches us a different path. Don't let pain pull you down, let it lift you up. You don't need revenge. You need to transform your pain into strength, into growth, into the best version of yourself. And that is the deepest form of response to those who once hurt you. 1. Don't run from pain, face it. Pain doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It hides in our subconscious, silently shaping our behaviors. Avoiding it only lets it dig deeper. The Stoics never ran from emotion. They observed pain, named it, and used reason to shape their response. You can say to yourself, I am hurt. I won't let this destroy me. I'll use this pain to forge inner strength. Pain is not your enemy. It's raw material. Use it right and it becomes fuel for the journey ahead. 2. Cut the need for validation from those who hurt you. We often crave that those who hurt us will regret it. We wait for an apology, an acknowledgement, for them to finally see our worth. But that's a trap. The longer you wait for recognition from someone who wounded you, the longer you keep yourself chained to a past that no longer serves you. Stoicism teaches your value doesn't come from others' eyes. It comes from how you act, how you live. You don't need to be acknowledged. You need to become the kind of person that even those who once dismissed you are no longer worthy to speak about. 3. Turn pain into the reason you grow. Some use pain to collapse, some use it to scream, but the strong use it to grow. When you feel disappointed, betrayed, or broken, let it be a reminder that you need to become stronger, that you need to choose better next time, that you need to love yourself enough not to repeat old wounds. Train, learn, work, not to get revenge, but so that the pain no longer has a hold on you. You don't need to strike back. Just rise so high that it can no longer touch you, or take back control of your life. Every second you spend angry or sad because of someone else is a second where they still hold power over you. They may have moved on, long forgotten the past, but you remain trapped in it, taught to transform pain. You must cut the emotional tether, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Epictetus once said, he who angers you, controls you. To grow strong, take back the wheel of your life and steer it where you want to go. not where they pushed you. 5. Build a life no one can deny. You don't need to tell anyone you've healed. Your life will say it for you. When you take care of your body and mind, when you stay calm amid chaos, when you live every day with clear purpose, that is the most powerful response to a painful past. I didn't break. I used the wound to nourish my roots. Now I've grown tall, and I no longer need to prove anything. 6. Silence plus action equals the deepest reply. One powerful quote from the video says it best. You don't need to respond with words. Respond with the life you build. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you've stopped playing a shallow game. In that silence, you begin to act, you train, you change, you grow. Not to impress others, but to be proud of yourself. 7. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness in Stoicism isn't about excusing the pain. It's not about giving someone a second chance. It's about severing the emotional chain that ties you to them so your mind can be free, so your heart can be light. You forgive not because they deserve peace, but because you deserve to stop hurting. Conclusion: pain is a gift. If you know how to use it, no one escapes pain. But you can choose to become a victim of your wound, or to become the strongest version of yourself because of it. Transforming pain isn't easy, but it's sacred. It's the path of deep emotional maturity. You don't need revenge. You just need to become the kind of person that those who once hurt you no longer deserve to even be part of the conversation. And when you're strong enough to smile in silence, to move forward in peace, and to build in stillness, you've already won. Forgiveness through the eyes of Stoicism. Forgiveness is a concept full of contradictions. Many see it as weakness, as an invitation to be hurt again, or as letting someone get away with what they did. But in Stoic philosophy, where self-control and virtue are central, forgiveness is not a weakness. On the contrary, it's a sign of strength, wisdom, and inner freedom. Stoicism doesn't ask you to forget the pain or pretend nothing happened. It asks you to let go of the emotional baggage that's weighing you down, so you can make space for peace and personal progress. 1. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Many people hold on to resentment, thinking, I can't forgive them, they haven't apologized or shown regret. But forgiveness in Stoicism doesn't depend on someone else's behavior. It's rooted in your own internal decision. You don't forgive to ease their conscience. You forgive to free yourself from the spiral of anger and suffering. You do it because you've carried the weight long enough and you no longer want to drag someone else's damage into your future. 2. Forgiveness is separation between lesson and emotion. Stoics don't ask you to forget the wound. They teach you to separate the lesson from the negative emotion. You can remember exactly what someone did, but you don't let their actions continue to control your peace of mind. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Recognize this and you will find strength. Forgiveness is a conscious choice to choose peace over resentment. 3. Resentment is a burden. Forgiveness is laying it down every time you think of someone who hurt you with bitterness. You're letting them live rent-free in your mind. They may have moved on or even forgotten you, but you are still tied down by that memory. Forgiveness, according to Stoicism, is deciding to stop renting out your mental space to them. You let go not because the pain was small, but because your life is meant for bigger things. 4. Forgiveness doesn't require apologies or conversations. Many people believe that to forgive there must be a conversation, a reason, closure. But the Stoics know healing doesn't come from the person who hurt you. It comes from how you respond. Forgiveness is a personal, silent act. It doesn't require the other person's involvement. You don't need them to understand you. You don't need them to feel remorse. You just need to decide, I will no longer carry this anger. 5. Forgiveness is emotional mastery. Resentment is instinctual. It's a reflex to being wronged. But holding on to it long-term becomes self-destruction. The Stoics understood that. Emotions shouldn't drive the car, they should ride in the back seat. Forgiveness is when you let reason take the wheel again. When you forgive, you're not saying, I'm weak. You're saying, I'm strong enough not to let this anger steer me. I choose self-mastery. 6. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back, and this is a critical distinction. Forgiving someone doesn't mean reopening the door. It doesn't mean allowing them to hurt you again. You can forgive and still set boundaries. Forgiveness says, I no longer carry this story in my mind every day. It does not say, I welcome you back into my life. Stoics believe in intelligent detachment, letting go without forgetting the lesson. 7. Forgiveness is evolution, not surrender. Forgiveness isn't giving up. It's not pretending nothing happened. It's not denying the pain. Forgiveness is choosing to evolve, to move forward, to invest your energy in things that are worth more. The strong are not those who were never hurt, but those who don't let the hurt define them. Forgiveness is the first step out of the role of victim and into the role of the self-possessed leader of your life. 8. Forgiveness is true freedom. Ultimately, forgiveness in the Stoic worldview is a declaration of inner independence. You no longer need an apology, recognition, or revenge to feel whole. You look back at what happened and say, I've learned the lesson, I've been hurt, I've healed, and now I live on lighter, clearer, stronger. When you reach that point, no one can control you anymore, and that is freedom. Conclusion. Forgive not for them but for you. You don't need to forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you've had enough, because you want healing, because you're ready for a life no longer bound by the past. On the Stoic world, forgiveness is not a pardon, it is a declaration of your strength over pain. And when you forgive, without needing to speak, without needing to be validated, without applause, that is when you are truly free. The high road strategy, a path of inner nobility in a world where everyone wants to speak up, teach someone a lesson, or prove their right. Staying silent, walking in calm, and refusing to engage in drama may seem like weakness. But in Stoic philosophy, the high road is not a retreat, it's the highest expression of wisdom and inner strength. To walk the high road means not seeking revenge, not falling into arguments, and not needing to prove anything. Instead, you focus on building a deep, powerful life, one that cannot be touched. It's not about abandoning the fight, it's about leaving the battlefield that was never worthy of you in the first place. 1. The high road begins with self-respect. When insulted, betrayed, or disrespected, our first instinct is to react. But Stoicism doesn't teach you to follow instinct, it teaches you to live with intention. Taking the high road requires self-respect strong enough that you don't need validation from others to know your worth. You don't walk the high road to appear noble. You walk it because you know you belong on a higher level. 2. The high road requires delayed gratification. Retaliation brings instant satisfaction. You might win a verbal battle, earn some cheers, but you've let emotion override reason. Those who walk the high road know the greatest rewards don't come instantly. They come from silent growth over time. You stay quiet. You keep walking, you work, you train, and months or years later your life speaks for itself. That's a reward impulsive people will never taste. 3. The high road is a strategy, not a weakness. Stoicism doesn't preach passive endurance and injustice, but it teaches that not every fight is worth your energy. Those who walk the high road don't do so because they can't fight back. They do it because they know which battle is worth entering. Sometimes, the strongest move isn't to react, it's to step away, quietly, without justification. Strategic silence and timely retreats are powers only those who control their lives can wield. For the high road makes you untouchable. By the petty, when you rise to a higher plane, petty words no longer reach you. You don't flinch, you don't strike back, you simply outgrow the noise. You become untouchable, not because you hide, but because you've elevated to where insults can't fly. 5. The high road saves your most precious resource, life. Energy, arguments, reactions, rage, all of it drains your emotional, mental, and even physical energy. Those who live by the high road don't waste fuel on what offers no long-term return. Instead of draining your battery, proving who's right, you invest that energy into building your career, your health, your knowledge, your mindset. This is how people with true vision live. 6. The high road builds a presence that speaks louder than words. You'll notice, the higher a person walks, the less they talk, but when they enter a room, everyone senses their weight. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to raise their voice. Their calm, their grounded gaze, their quiet certainty creates gravity. Those on the high road don't walk in to impress, they walk in, and their presence does the rest. 7. The high road is a lifelong habit, not a one-time choice. You don't just choose the high road once, it's a daily decision, a way of life. When misunderstood, you don't need to clarify to everyone. When betrayed, you don't turn back, you walk faster. When insulted, you don't shout, you level up. Each time, you build emotional muscle and inner resilience. Over time, you transform, no longer pulled down by gossip or noise. 8. Silent success is the loudest response. Nothing unsettles those who once disrespected you more than watching you thrive without ever mentioning them again. And you don't do it despite them, you do it because you've chosen a life of substance. You don't win with words, you win with the quiet life you build day by day, habit by habit, choice by choice. Conclusion: the high road isn't for the masses, it's for those with depth. The high road isn't easy, it demands discipline, self-respect, steadiness, and long-term vision. But if you're brave enough to choose it, you'll find that you're not just winning, you're evolving. You no longer live in reaction, you live by intention. You don't play in their games, you create your own. And you don't aim to defeat others, you aim to defeat your former self bit by bit, every single day. That is character, that is stoicism, that is the high road. The price they pay, what those who hurt you must face. When someone betrays you, insults you, deceives you, the first thing you might want is for them to pay. You want them to hurt the way you did. You want karma, justice, collapse, but then you look around and they seem fine, smiling, laughing, seemingly unaffected. Meanwhile, you're the one still carrying the pain. There's a deep sense of unfairness, like the universe is asleep, like bad people are winning. But according to Stoic philosophy, the price they pay isn't always visible. It's quiet, it's constant, and no one escapes it. 1. They have to live with themselves every day. People who hurt others rarely change overnight. They continue using lies, manipulation, and false appearances to build relationships, careers, lives. But there's one thing they can't escape. They have to live inside their own mind, a mind clouded with insecurity, shame, and inner unrest. The Stoics say you can run from everything except yourself, and that's the ultimate price. The one who hurts others is always hurting inside themselves too. They repeat the cycle of destruction. Those who hurt you likely don't stop with you. They repeat the same patterns, breaking trust, sabotaging good relationships, slamming shut doors to their own future. And every time they do, they lose another opportunity. You don't have to lift a finger. Life removes them from goodness, because their behavior excludes them. It's not karma as some mystical force. It's the inevitable consequence of unresolved behavior. Point 3. They never truly know peace. They may appear strong, happy, carefree, but deep down there's always an emptiness. They fear being exposed. They fear someone will hurt them the way they hurt others. They can't fully trust love, friendship, or loyalty, because deep down, they know they don't offer it themselves. Peace doesn't come from pretending, it comes from integrity. And those who cause pain never fully rest. They live with hidden anxiety, fear, and fatigue. 4. They aren't inspired by themselves. You can rebuild, you can rise, evolve, and see yourself growing stronger every day. But they can't. People who harm others can't look in the mirror with pride. They know what they did, and instead of facing it, they avoid it by blaming, denying, pretending. And that means they can't believe in themselves. They can't be inspired by their own story. And that is a quiet, deep kind of failure, losing faith in yourself. 5. Growth never comes because they learn nothing if someone hurts others and never reflects, never feels remorse. They miss their chance to grow. You who felt the pain can use it as fuel to grow, to choose better, to love yourself enough not to repeat old wounds, but they stay stuck, trapped in old patterns and a self-justifying ego. And when life demands maturity, discipline, and authenticity, they simply don't have it. Point 6. They're frozen in the old version of you. Here's the irony. As you grow, move forward, evolve, in their mind, you're frozen as the old you, the one they thought was weak, easy to control, easy to forgive. They don't keep up with your evolution, and that confuses them, irritates them, even makes them envious. The price. They remain in the past while you live in the present and build the future. 7. They're forgotten. In the story they tried to control when someone hurt you. They may have felt powerful, like they had control. They thought they won. But when you walk away in silence, build your life, and never look back, they become the one left behind. No revenge, no confrontation. Just a life well lived, so full, so focused, so far ahead. They vanish from your story without a trace. And that's the deepest kind of erasure, not because they were punished, but because you outgrew them. Conclusion. The price isn't loud, but it's always there. When you stop chasing evidence of their payback and start living your own life, you'll realize you don't have to punish those who hurt you. They are living their consequences every day. In the confusion within, in the emptiness, in the broken relationships, in the echo of a life they can't fully trust or admire. And no one escapes the effects of their actions, no matter how strong they pretend to be. You don't need to see them fall. Just know you are rising, and they're no longer within reach. The pinnacle of Stoic thinking. Master your emotions, master your life in a world that's increasingly loud and reactive. The one who remains calm, composed, and laser-focused on what they can control is the one who holds true power. This is the essence of high-level Stoic thinking. Not letting circumstances control your mind, not letting fleeting emotions derail your direction, not living to seek revenge, but living to evolve and rise. Stoicism isn't just dry philosophy. It's a life operating system for those with a deep desire to live anchored, focused, and with strong inner standards. 1. Stoics don't react. They choose their response when insulted, betrayed, or hurt. Our instinct is to react, get angry, lash out, teach them a lesson. But the Stoic doesn't let instinct lead. They pause, observe, and respond deliberately. They understand every second I spend angry is a second I've handed control to someone else. High-level Stoicism is about this. Even when they could strike back, they choose not to, because calmness is the ultimate weapon. 2. Stoics don't live for revenge. They live for excellence while others chase payback through impulsive words or actions. The Stoic quietly builds a life so solid that criticism becomes irrelevant. They know victory doesn't come from making others lose, it comes from becoming your best self. That's why they focus on discipline, clarity, and inner strength, not revenge. 3. Stoics don't seek attention. They build silent presence. Stoic thinkers don't need to be seen. They don't need to be heard. They let actions speak louder than words. They let results speak for themselves. Their presence isn't loud, but it carries weight. When they enter a room, they don't need to announce themselves. People notice them because of their stillness, certainty, steadiness, strength that radiates from within, something that can't be faked or borrowed. For Stoics don't let the past hold them back. They choose to rewrite the future. Stoic individuals don't let themselves stay stuck in old chapters, no matter the betrayal, pain, or misunderstanding. They don't live in the past waiting for closure. Their mindset is, I don't need closure from others. I create peace within myself. They understand that letting go isn't weakness, it's the wise choice to free yourself from pain that no longer serves you. 5. Stoics don't live to be understood, they live to honor their values in a world obsessed with opinions and misunderstandings. Stoics don't waste time trying to explain themselves. They don't seek approval, they seek inner alignment. They live by clear personal principles. Don't react to gossip. Don't lose your peace to prove you're right. Don't use anger to demonstrate worth. Not everyone will understand me, and that's okay. Stoic thinking means living by values, not by validation. 6. Stoics don't waste energy on the unworthy. Stoicism teaches you can have everything but not all at once. Those Stoics are mindful of where they spend their energy. They don't waste energy on revenge, don't waste time proving themselves to unworthy people. Don't let their minds be consumed by envy, drama, or resentment. They see energy as life's most precious asset, and it must be invested in building, not destroying. 7. Stoics don't let outer chaos destroy inner peace. To a Stoic, the inner world is sacred. The world outside may be chaotic, cruel, unstable, but inside they protect a space of calm strength and clarity. You can't control the wind, but you can control the sail. Stoic thinking teaches us to stay on course, no matter how rough the storm. Conclusion. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of mastery. High-level Stoic thinking isn't for those who act impulsively, need approval, or dwell in past wounds. It's for those who choose growth, discipline, stillness, and inner freedom. You don't need external validation to know your worth. You don't need to defeat others to feel successful. You don't need revenge. You just need to evolve. And that is true mastery, not winning over others, but winning over yourself. You don't need revenge to win. You just need self-mastery, peace of mind, and the courage to walk away. If this message reminded you of your power, hit that like button, share it with someone who's ready to rise above the noise, and don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Stay calm, stay powerful, stay untouchable.